God gave plagues to Egypt, as described in the book of Exodus in the Bible. The main reason was to free the Israelites from slavery under Pharaoh. The Israelites had been enslaved in Egypt for many years. Pharaoh was harsh and refused to let them go, even though God had promised to deliver his people. God, through Moses, repeatedly asked Pharaoh to let the Israelites go to worship him. Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he refused. The plagues were signs showing God's sovereignty over Egypt's gods and Pharaoh himself. Each plague challenged the power of the Egyptian deities, demonstrating that God alone was supreme. The plagues served as judgment against Egypt's oppression and their refusal to obey God. They were also warnings for Pharaoh and the Egyptians to repent. Ultimately, the plagues led to the release of the Israelites, fulfilling God's promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that their descendants would be delivered from bondage. The plagues were both a tool of liberation and a demonstration of God's power and justice. These are the 10 plagues of Egypt and what each one meant. 1. Water turned to blood. The Nile River, Egypt's lifeline, turned to blood. Fish died, and water became undrinkable. The Nile was worshipped as a god by the Egyptians, Hapi. This plague showed God's power over Egypt's gods and their main source of life. 2. Frogs. Frogs swarmed the land, entering houses and even bedrooms. The frog was sacred to the Egyptian goddess Heket. This plague mocked the Egyptians' gods and made life unbearable. 3. Gnats, or lice dust, became gnats that infested people and animals. Demonstrated that even small things are under God's control, showing Pharaoh that he could not stop God's will. 4. Flies. Swarms of flies covered the land, spreading disease and discomfort. The flies represented chaos and showed God's ability to disrupt daily life, demonstrating his power over creation. 5. Death of livestock. Egyptian animals like cows, sheep, and horses died, but Israelite livestock were spared. Struck at Egypt's economy and gods associated with animals, like Hathor, goddess of cows, showing God protects his people. 6. Boils. Painful boils afflicted people and animals. A direct attack on Egyptian priests who performed rituals for health and purity, proving God's authority over human and spiritual leaders. 7. Hail, heavy hail, destroyed crops and killed anyone outside. The Egyptians worshipped the sky god, and hail showed God's power over the heavens and the natural world. 8. Locusts. Swarms of locusts ate everything left after the hail, destroyed the food supply, showing God's power to provide or withhold resources, and striking at Egypt's gods of agriculture. 9. Darkness. Darkness covered Egypt for 3 days. Egypt worshipped Ra, the sun god. God's darkness showed his power over light and the gods they revered. 10. Death of the firstborn. Every firstborn in Egypt died, from the pharaoh to the common people. Israelite firstborns were spared if they followed God's instructions for the Passover. The final and most devastating plague proved God's ultimate authority and judgment, forcing Pharaoh to release the Israelites. Each plague had a purpose to demonstrate God's power, challenge Egyptian gods, punish oppression, and lead to Israel's freedom.